Uloom al-Quran, basically. And then I've also looked into some other material. Basically, why do people struggle to read the Quran? There are some people who have a struggle sitting down and actually reading the Quran. هذا يسمى بيجاهد نفسه. You don't make the time, and sometimes when you sit down to read, you just don't have the energy. We have the energy for everything else. When it comes to the Quran, we seem to have issues with that. And that's something we have to take care of. That is very serious issues. Especially, we're only here a short period of time. And unless we get a chance to read and become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are at total loss. So one scholar said that basically the Quran will defend you. So imagine that in order to increase your knowledge of the Quran and to read the Quran and have a greater understand that the Quran will defend you. Because you can imagine the relation between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is nothing but the deen. Nothing. I mean, there's no relation, no other relations. You believe, you follow, you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you follow the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you're saved. You do your best, you're saved. You do sins, you make tawbah, you make istighfar, you don't go back, you make istighfar, you make tawbah. The relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such as you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you read the Quran, you understand what is your purpose in life, and that this life will end. So, Quran will defend you in the sense that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Iqra al-Quran, read the Quran. So it will come the day of Qiyamah and will intercede on you. And the Quran will say, Ya Allah, I kept him from sleeping, he was reading the Quran. Or, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he have read and understood and he wants to read. He loved me and I loved him. So we all love someone to defend us. What is better than the Quran? Because the Quran is kalamullah. It is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what will save us. So another thing is, imagine that for every time you read the Quran, now if what somebody would say, for every time you open the Quran, it will give you $10 for every ayah. How many people will be walking around with Quran? Everybody. And you'll be like, hey, who doesn't want benefit? Well, for every letter you read, there's hasana. And hasana equal to 10. So you look, when you say alif, lam, mim, that's not one more, that's 3 letters. That is, you have gained hasana, you have to realize that when you read the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding you for it. It's almost like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you money. Who gives the money? Allah. Allah is asking you gently, give sadaqah. He's the one who gives the money, yet He's asking us to do. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessing are many. So we need to understand that every time I open the Quran, and every time I read the Quran, I am gaining benefits. Those benefits comes in the form of hasanat. They are multiplied. And you read and read and read. It's almost, as scholar said, I think it was Bishr al-Hafi, he said, reading the Quran is like eating a date. Like in winter time, when you eat the rutab, the rutab date is basically the still picked up from the tree and it's soft. Winter time doesn't have the same taste if you eat it in the summer. And if you eat it while you're full, you begin to pick at it and you say, well, I don't know if I like this kind of date. You begin to make any kind of excuse because you don't like it. But you are very hungry. And then they bring you date. You finish the plate. So the Quran is like that. You read once, and you read twice, and you read 3 times, and you keep reading until the lights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surround you. Then you begin to understand the meaning of the ayat, even if you're not an Arab. It doesn't matter. Allah, because you want to read with that intention that, oh Allah, I want to understand. I want to make that effort. It's between you and Allah. This is not public. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then provides you that meaning and that fulfillment in your heart. No one ever that, true people of the Quran, they're not stressed, they're not mad at life, they're not sad. Subhanallah, people truly who have the Quran, their life is happy. This is like a happiness on earth. Yet we seek happiness in everything else. So Sheikh said that we should read with tadabbur, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to you directly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, this is what's benefit for you. So أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ, Allah said, don't they ponder upon the Quran? Allah loves it when you read Al-Quran, when you read أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Even Al-Fatiha, for example, when you say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah responds to you. Allah said, my servant praised me. He gave thanks to me. He said, Alhamdulillah. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. This first portion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just simply saying good thing about you because you read with intention. Our mind is not wandering because we want to get the blessing, but sometimes our mind wanders. So I want you. So we make the effort. We make the effort that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from us. Now, to read the Quran, you have to have this certain condition. But some people, they are perfectionists. They want everything perfect and they end up not reading the Quran. They look for the place and they get ready and they're always in a state of readiness, but they never do anything. If you're one of those people, cut it out. If all you're doing like, okay, inshallah, tomorrow I will start. Okay, inshallah, Friday I'll start. Okay, inshallah, I'm going to read half the Quran. Okay. Oh, drop all these things. Start immediately. What is immediately? You open the Quran, begin to read. But read with that intention. Even though you can read the Quran without wudu, but it's best to have wudu. So it's best to have wudu. The place you read the Quran should be clean.
When you said you can read the Quran without wudu, we cannot touch it without wudu.
Yeah, there is difference in these issues, and some said you can touch the Quran. It's just al hadath. Yeah, but generally that is acceptable. That you can read without wudu. It's best to have wudu. Really, this is my view, and what I've read is you can, like, if obviously you're not able to, and like say if you're in travel or something like that, then that's fine. But as long as you're able to make wudu, we should always go with the higher level of acceptance and not go to the lower level. So the best thing to do is to have wudu before you read the Quran. What you're doing is you're preparing yourself, because now you are going to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to listen to you when you read the Quran. So it is best to be in a cleanliness state. You're clean, the place you sit and read is clean. Your miswak, if you have miswak, you should do miswak. And also isti'adah. Always say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, when you start reading the Quran. That is very important. Some people don't. Because Allah says in the Quran, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Because shaitan will come to you at that moment and blow into your nose, make you yawn, make you get tired, you go to the fridge, you answer the telephone, there's a million things you'll be doing, but reading the Quran. So we must have a bit of a here again. The reason is because what we value most, we should value the Quran more than anything else. So that's what the Sheikh said. Now you can read obviously tartil. You know, like you don't read the Quran. That's not really reading the Quran. But Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So you can ayah. Okay. Now that would be, and then think about it. Subhanallah. Allah is the Lord of all the creations. He created everything. So in His hand, everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls everything. Nothing happened without the permission of Allah. People, ruler rules because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission. A tyrant rules because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission. But the wisdom behind everything that happened, we don't know it. We don't know it. Only Allah knows it. But what we do, we focus not on what we see as much as what we believe. Okay? We don't see the heaven, yet Allah described it for us in the Quran. We don't see the Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described it in the Quran. That it exists. And this is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, we must make that effort. So you can read loud if that is actually preferred. And now, for example, if you're in the masjid and there's a lot of people, you can read just like, so you can hear yourself. Sometimes hearing yourself is better. If you're feeling like you're tired, and then you read a little bit louder. If you're home, you can also read louder so kids can hear you, maybe family and members and so forth. It'd be nice if you have the whole family gathered and maybe read together, even for like 5-6 ayat together, just to make that kind of a habit. Also, try to get your voice in the best state. All right. In other words, try to give it your best voice. Sometimes when you talk to your family or your wife, you be like in the nicest voice. Yes, my dear. Well, at least when you read the Quran, make sure you also pick up the best voice to read. So, anyway, so these are some of the adab or tilawa. Now, at the tafsir itself, we've said through the whole book, is this one portion of Uloom-ul-Quran. And we've said that tafsir was actually a section in the book of Hadith. So if we get reviewed quickly, now we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in how many years? That's a question to the group. 23 years. How many in Mecca and how many in Medina? 13 years. And how many in? And 10 years in Medina. And we've said Quran Madani and Quran Makki in reference to what? Before Hijrah and after Hijrah. Even though it was revealed after, even if it was revealed in Mecca, but it was after Hijrah, it's still considered Quran Madani. Right? Now we said also that the Quran was revealed not in a big chunk, not all at once. Why? Why that happened?
Comprehend.
Comprehend was one. What else?
Understand the circumstances.
Okay, circumstances. What else? Memorization is good. That's also one. What else?
So it's actually came like the brother said, it came at the certain events in the Sirah.
Yeah.
So when the kuffar asked some question, Quran came to their answer. When there was some issue, so and then Quran, the ayahs from Quran, they came with the ahkam.
Yeah, exactly. So there was reason for the revelations because the kuffar said, لولا نزل عليه القرآن جملة واحدة. If Quran was all revealed at once, but that wouldn't have been sufficient for them anyway. Yeah. Yeah, when it came down, but it came down obviously, in those small pieces, basically. But now, so we come to the question, and this was one of the area. When you open the Quran, all Quran, you start with Al-Fatiha and you end with An-Nas, right? So Al-Fatiha, Al-Fatiha and An-Nas, that's how it's organized. Now people say, well, how was that came about? Was that something that was done during the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Was that done during Uthman radiallahu anhu. So one thing we should know, so the Quran was revealed again over those 23 years. Jibreel alayhi salam used to come at the end of the year, for the end of the year, Ramadan, and he would mudarasat al-Quran ma Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He would review with him what has been revealed during the whole year. And he would tell him basically in what surah to put in what ayah. He will say that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, remember, yes, Allah tells him, سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. We will stick, your memory will not forget that. And because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also was sent to a nation that does not read or write. So they were ummiyin. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا. Allah said so. So they were illiterate when it comes to reading and writing. So also that is one of the reasons the Quran was revealed in this small portion at a time. So now Jibreel alayhi salam, as he would review with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam already knew the orders of all the ayat, where what goes where and what event and so forth. Sahaba would write al-wahi. They would write on stones. They would write on the skin of an animal. They would write on qumash. It was all basic. Now, so the ulama agreed that the way the Quran was organized was that mawquf. Mawquf means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed it as such, and it is as such. And some said, well, no, that was not necessarily the case. That was a Sayyidina Uthman, when he put the whole Quran, he gathered it in that form. And then others said, no, this is actually, it was mawquf except the two surahs, Surah Al-Tawbah and Surah Al-Anfal. Sayyidina Uthman switched the positions, one ahead of the others. So, but at the end, we know that everything had happened, and obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to protect the Quran. Therefore, we're going to go with the first one, that is mawquf, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order. Therefore, that's the way it's organized. It is the way it is revealed, the way it is mentioned or set up by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as he tells his companion, telling the Sahaba how it should be, where every ayah goes, what surah, and so forth. Now, we understood from that okay, when we come to read the Quran, we should be careful. You cannot read for example, you cannot read Al-Fatiha and then the beginning of the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, Amana Rasulu bima unzila ilayhi, and then in the second rak'ah, you can come and read Al-Fatiha and then read from the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. You cannot read like from the end of the surah and come back to the beginning of the surah. That is forbidden and cannot be like that. So if you're going to read from the surah from the beginning, you can either continue where you stop, or you can read farther ahead in the surah. So that's something that people should be aware of. Because some people maybe memorize and maybe not memorize the whole thing. So they memorize like certain portion. And a lot of time, if they don't know, they might go back. And that should not be. It should be basically in that sequence from the beginning, and you read where you stop, or you can actually read toward the end of the surah. It's acceptable. Now,
last session, you mentioned the actual Quran is in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, that we don't know about it.
Yes, no, Al-Quran, Kalamullah, huwa fil Lawh al-Mahfuz, yani that is basically with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in heaven. So when it was revealed, it was all revealed down. So Jibreel alayhi salam then took from that and bring it to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the order of Allah.
Same thing is in the normal.
Yeah, same thing. So when you read the Quran, when you follow the same direction and the same, you are basically following exactly this. That's why Quran talaqqi means you take it from a sheikh. You take it from somebody who's knowledgeable of the qira'ah. So that means because you read exactly as the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has read it, as Jibreel alayhi salam has read it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you make that effort, you just imagine you are doing something that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So وعلم التفسير, so tafsir is one portion of the science of the Quran. Basically said that, so this is a knowledge about the book of Allah ta'ala that was revealed to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the purpose of running our life. We take wisdom from the Quran, we take knowledge from the Quran, we learn how to live our life according to the Quran. We don't live our life separate from the Quran. Some people, they make separate. They make the religion and they say, there's this famous statement, say, "Din lillah wal watan lil jami'." They say the religion is for Allah and the nation is for everybody. Well, this is not really true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed that so as not to be like kept in some place and people live their life any way they want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to govern, people govern their lives by following what the Muslim ﷺ brought and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran. So now, هو من أجل العلوم. It is one of the best science that a person can learn. And really, to be a mufassir, it takes, the author wrote here several steps. And number one, he said, صحة الاعتقاد. And the person have to have correct aqidah. They have to be a true Muslim. So no one can come, for example, someone who is not a Muslim, and you can come and he would write and we would like what he writes and so forth, but he cannot be a mufassir of the Quran. We cannot take from this individual. The person has to be a true Muslim. Now, number two is basically this individual have to be a tajarrud min al-hawa, that the individual have no desire. The problem with some people is they have the knowledge and they are true, but their desire is to appear that they have knowledge. They want to be praised on occasions, they want to get accolades, they want to get recognitions, and they're just seeking not the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but their action shows that they're doing otherwise. And those people also, they will be careful with somebody like that. So we need these people who actually, they have correct aqidah, they have no desire to do this but for Allah's sake. In other words, even though some people do get paid for like being, in that, which is, it is acceptable in that form, but not to extravagance and not to extreme and so forth. So the first thing for a mufassir to do is you fassir the Quran with Quran. First thing a person should do is to give explanation of the Quran with the Quran. So this one would be, so you look for the ayah and you see those ayat, if they are clear, that's fine. If they are like, there are other ayat that explain that ayah. And that is how you would do. So you would search and you would look, and then you said, okay, well, Allah said in this ayah, so and so. And then in this ayah, explain what that means. For example, we've said that ayah before. Allah said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, الصحابة said, Ya Rasulullah, وَمَنْ مِنَّا لَا يَظْلِمُ. Who doesn't cause unjust to himself? الظلم هنا in this ayah, الظلم, basically that's injustice, like. Now, it meant actually in another ayah, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to, when Luqman was advising his son, he said, Ya bunayya la tushrik billah, inna shirka la dhulmun azim. So Luqman is advising his son not to disbelieve in Allah, that is shirk, and taking partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that becomes dhulm. That means, so hina al-dhulm huwa shirk. So that dhulm, that injustice to yourself, is you take partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is the example of tafsir al-Quran bil Quran. And so forth, and you go along that line. And then if you don't see what has been, like say, there's not every ayah have another ayah that they give it tafsir, give explanation, then you look at the sunnah. What the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Like we remember, we've said that the Arabs understood the Quran without any explanation. They didn't need tafsir. They knew exactly what the ayat mean and what it meant and what it revealed. They had very, very little that they were actually didn't know what the ayat mean. And a man comes into I'll give an example. A man comes in and then he asked, I think it was Ibn Abbas, one of the Sahaba, and said to him, teach me something from the Quran, and that's it. So they told him, okay, he said that وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. I told him that in heaven is your sustenance. Your rizq is in heaven. Your rizq is not on the ground. We look for it on the ground while it's in heaven. The rizq is written up in heaven. And what Allah promised is in heaven. So the man, he said, that's it. Don't tell me anymore. So he came back in a year or so, and then he told him, teach me some more. So he told him, what did I? He said, you taught me that. You taught me this part. He said, Khalas, he understood the mas'ala of rizq is not in anybody's hand. Nobody controls it, and nobody can take your rizq away from you. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala determined that. It is not because of your skills, it's not because of anything else. Then he came back to him and he said to him, the Sahabi told the same man, it was a bad one, he said, فَوَرَبِّ السَّمَاءِ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ مِثْلَ مَا أَنَّكُمْ تَنْطِقُونَ وَرَبِّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ مِثْلَ مَا أَنَّكُمْ تَنْطِقُونَ By the Lord of heaven and earth, it is true as you speak. The man understood, and he said, who did not believe the first portion that he made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give an oath that this is true. He didn't need explanation. So the Arabs understood the meaning of the Quran. But as the nation, as more and more people entered into Islam, and the illusion of the language becomes a little bit murky. So there was a need then to maintain the authenticity of the language and the authenticity of the tafsir. That's why we have these books. And we have these great mufassirun through the times. Now, so if you don't find in Sunnah, then we go to the Sahaba. Aqwal Sahaba, what the Sahaba said. And if we don't find the Sahaba, we go to Tabi'een. Tabi'een, those are the ones who were actually, they were the companion of Sahaba. So they took their knowledge from them. And for example, Mujahid is one of the great Tabi'een. He was actually a student of Ibn Abbas. Now we all know Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, it's Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas is the cousin of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So his father, Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. So he's from the family of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was young, and he used to be in the company of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he writes with him on the talkie, if you remember the famous hadith, and it tells him, دعني أعلمك كلمات, let me teach you some words. يا غلام, أنا إذا استعنت فاستعن بالله. If you want to depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a long hadith. So, but Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also made dua for him. Uloom-ul-Quran وفقهه في الدين. That basically teach him the Quran, or teach him the Quran, and make him a scholar, knowledgeable about this deen. So he was called Turjuman al-Quran. He was basically the one who understood the code of the Quran, what is really in it. Every single ayah of the Quran, Abdullah ibn Abbas knows. So we take now from Sahaba, and then those who were companions of the Sahaba, which called Tabi'een. So among those Tabi'een, for example, this is just an example. Mujahid, he was in the company from Ibn Abbas. He said, I reviewed the Quran with Ibn Abbas 3 times. From the beginning of Al-Fatiha until An-Nas, Akhir Surah. He said, and I stopped him at every ayah and asked him about it. What did this mean? When it was revealed? Everything in detail. What is the linguistic? Yeah, that was right. So he had taken that to great detail. SubhanAllah. So we take from the Tabi'een as well. So Aqwal al-Tabi'een. Now another thing that the Mufassir should have, be knowledgeable of the Arabic language. العلم باللغة العربية for Arabic language and its branches. Like النحو, البلاغة, الصرف, the grammars, the poetry, all that. Because the Arabic language is such a big language, but it's not too difficult if you study. I mean, if you so a person should have knowledge of that. دقة الفهم, the ability to understand. Some people, subhanAllah, not everybody have the, big understanding. I'm not saying I'm one of these people, but we should at least have some form of understanding that we're able to grasp the meaning and also deliver that to those who are listening. Because not to make things complicated, make things more smoother. And the Quran, so it should be knowledge of the Quran, Tawheed, also he should also understand the true meaning of the tafsir. Now, Ibn Mas'ud, there's an example, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, by Allah, I understood every ayah that was revealed and why it was revealed. And he said, if I knew of anybody that had that knowledge, I would travel. But they were saying that because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave these people knowledge to carry that, because Allah promised to protect the Quran. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought people to continue to protect the Quran until the day of Qiyamah. So it's not like if you and I don't do it, Allah will bring people. Allah will replace us with people who are actually better than us, and they'll do it. And that knowledge is not like, it's not just for Arabs, it's for all the Muslim Ummah. That's why you go to anywhere in the world, you'll find scholars. You'll find people, mashallah, knowledgeable of the Arabic language, knowledgeable of the Quran, and I mean, you go anywhere and you'll find people, mashallah, it's amazing. So this is something that we as Muslims should always have concern, that we want to be always seen attached to the Quran. Because with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, success will always come to our way. And when we abandon the Quran, Allah abandons us. And we have absolutely no hope of success. Not here, not in the hereafter. So this is kind of the summary of the book. So it is now encompassed upon us to, now, so with this condition of Mufassir, obviously some of them are obvious, others are, require some greater knowledge. So what do we do in this community? So what we do is basically, this is my thoughts on this, is there are several people who have done tafsir. And basically we would synthesize their portion of the tafsir and then deliver that. In other words, we do research and we do study, but so you would have an understanding what we're doing. So far we have not started doing tafsir, but that way we would be following. It's not the quantity of the ayat that you do, but because sometimes you might spend the whole halqa in one ayah, because it was revealed at a particular time, it addressed a particular situations. There might be ahkam in it. There might be, maybe farm and so forth. So we would, inshallah, will attempt to address that together, inshallah. Again, we would also let people know, for example, that inshallah, like starting maybe next week, we will begin with like Surah Al-Fatiha, we'll move there. Let's see if Al-Fatiha finishes, it's fine. But if it doesn't, then it's okay. We'll stop where we stop and we keep going. Now, people might have questions. People can also read ahead of time and prepare themselves to be part of the discussion, so as to not to be one-sided discussion. It would be more participating discussion. So anyway, inshallah, we'll stop here and jazakumullah khair. Subhanak wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka Allahumma min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayk. Barakallahu. Yes. Also, I forgot to mention that about the tafsir, that the best tafsir, truly, the one that is actually used as the source of all other tafsir, Ibn Jarir al-Tabari. So Ibn Jarir al-Tabari was like Imam al-Mufassirin. Ibn Kathir, all other people have taken from him. So it's a very well-known tafsir. We did order it for the library. So we may have it here, we may not have it, but I do have an electronic version of it. So we may go through with that. If not, everybody have Ibn Kathir. So we may follow Ibn Kathir, since it's available. And there's quite a few of those around. So we may actually go with Ibn Kathir, inshallah, and we'll go with that. Jazakumullah.